Hi, I'm Jay Monty with True Fan Boxing. I'm joined by my colleague Sean Sullivan. Sean, today we're going to talk about the heavyweights. It's mid-October. The heavyweights are on the horizon. We just had Vitaly Klitschko beating Shannon Briggs. Really one-sided fight. And his brother's coming up to fight in December. What do you think of the state? When you talk about the heavyweight division, you talk about the Klitschko brothers.
Right. Well, I'd have to disagree with your first statement. I think the heavyweights are not on the horizon. I think they're going below the horizon right now.
Right.
With the way that look at the top 10. Can you name any significant fighters in the top 10?
Sure, Eddie Chambers. I think it's bottomed out. It's at the bottom, and it's only to get better. But you have to start with the Klitschko brothers. They're a dominating force even as they approach 40 years old. I think one of them is 40.
Close
to 40. Okay.
Right, and that's who just recently fought Vitaly Klitschko for Shannon Briggs in Germany, and pretty much dominated him from start to finish. I felt the fight should have been stopped sooner. A lot of people felt that way. It seemed like Shannon Briggs, he just didn't really have much of a game plan. He said he was going to go in there and fight Vitaly unlike any other contender recently. He didn't. He fought him just like every other one has, because that's Vitaly's style. That's what he does to you. And he lost every round. He kept getting hit with right hands repeatedly, and he wasn't really fighting back towards the end of the fight. He almost got knocked out in the 7th and 9th round, I believe. Right. But you got to give him credit. He showed a lot of heart. He didn't go down at all, and he went the distance, even though I felt either the corner or the referee should have stopped it.
I agree totally. The Klitschkos are the best 1-2 brother punch in boxing, and it seems they fight that way. Set up the jab, the right hand off the jab, and it's just repeated. And it seems everyone has a game plan, but it doesn't work. Who is Vladimir fighting now in December is, I believe, a fighter named Chisora from England, product of the British invasion, so to speak. And this is what I mean with the Hay. This is all a new cycle in boxing coming up. How do you see that fight? Do you know much about Chisora?
Right, Derek Chisora. He's about 14-0 with 9 knockouts, which 14-0 getting a title shot is pretty ridiculous. But again, in the current state of the division, that's what you expect. He won a British heavyweight title recently. Fought a couple British, mid-level contenders. He's good, but is he worthy of a title shot against one of the best in the world? Vladimir Klitschko, I don't think so.
Okay, we have other heavyweights on that second tier that could be a challenge down the road to the Klitschko brothers. Adamek, who's fighting December 9th against Vinny Matalone here at the Prudential Center in Newark. And we have a couple of other heavyweights like Eddie Chambers. We have Orlando Solis. Who poses a threat to the Klitschko brothers in boxing?
Right, I mean, there's a couple of things that are going on right now in the division. You got a few elimination tournaments, and just to go back, the other heavyweight champion, David Haye, is also fighting November 13th, the same day as Pacquiao, but he'll be fighting in England in an all-English affair against Orly Harrison. It's a good fight for England, but again, is Orly Harrison worthy of a title shot? No.
But what I hear from some boxing experts is that Harrison stands a very good chance against Haye. Haye does not match up well with Harrison. What's your take on that?
Okay, Harrison, he's got the size, he's got power. But whenever he's stepped up, he hasn't really produced. So, what am I going to base it on? Is it his past experiences where he hasn't come through?
Right, so you believe when the lights come on in this fight, and probably the biggest fight of his career, it'll be David Haye down the stretch.
Eventually, it says something about David Haye that this is the guy that he chose, because he has a mandatory coming up, a man who previously was the WBA heavyweight champion, Ruslan Chagayev. He won an elimination tournament back in May. So sooner or later, Haye is going to have to fight Chagayev. And that'll be interesting. That'll be a real quality heavyweight championship fight.
There's a couple of good fights out there. There's an Adamek Haye, and Haye seems to be the catalyst in this, the fulcrum that could move.
Well, Adamek versus Haye is a fight we want to see eventually.
Oh, absolutely.
But, they both have to get past their next steps.
They're looking at Klitschko, the Adamek team, so we'll see what happens. Like, everything revolves, it's with, you got to knock off the top guys, but, and then everything will move.
Right, and just to go back again, we talked about the elimination tournaments. The IBF is setting up another elimination tournament for the end of this year and the beginning of next year with Eddie Chambers. And Eddie Chambers was a participant in the previous IBF elimination tournament back in 2008. And he's since gone on to face Vladimir Klitschko and lost by a 12th round knockout, so they're just regurgitating him. But he's a quality heavyweight. It's just, again, with the way that things are, who else are they going to turn to? And who else do we have in this tournament?
Alexander Demetrio and Jonathan Banks, another cruiserweight turned heavyweight.
Right, yeah, Jonathan Banks. That boggles my mind, because for him to be in this tournament means that if he were to win the next 2 fights, he'll get a title shot against Vladimir Klitschko. Jonathan Banks is trained by Emmanuel Stewart. Right. Emmanuel Stewart has already said that he will not let his fighter, Jonathan Banks, face another one of his fighters, Vladimir Klitschko. He just won't do it.
Right.
So if he wins the tournament, what's going to happen? He's just not going to get the title shot?
I don't know. Things have changed. It's politics, let's face it.
And you mentioned
what's happened to the Showtime tournament. More people did not fight than did fight.
Right. Well, that's another issue. But the man that Banks is facing in the first leg of the tournament, Alexander Dimitrenko, lost to Eddie Chambers already.
Wow.
So again, he's another guy that lost, and they're bringing him back.
And then there's the Cuban heavyweight, Orlando Solis, who's fighting against Ray Austin. Who do you like and why?
Well, yeah, that's a WBC elimination tournament for Vitaly Klitschko. And if you remember, Ray Austin already had a title shot against Vladimir, got knocked out in 2 rounds. So really, this is a fight for Orlando Solis to shine in, because he's a Cuban amateur prodigy and Cuban defect. He moved to the States. So we're looking to see if he can move on and match his boasts and come to the top tier of the heavyweight division.
Sean, I wish I could stop and just figure this all out. We can't do it in one segment. We'll continue this topic at a later time. For Sean Sullivan, Boxing Digest, I'm Jay Monty, True Fan Boxing. Be there in the square. Take care.
Want more? Go to IntersectTV.com to connect with the world of sports. Real-time updates, blog postings, and all the action you can handle. Intersect. IntersectTV.com, connecting you to the world of sports.